morning. Oh man. Welcome to Superconscious Sundays episode 11. How are you all doing? I have an allergy attack going on this morning. So, excuse me. I have some runniness and still usually happens even when I don't have an allergy attack cuz this is going to be a powerful live today. Going to be discussing some of the astrology that's going on right now, getting us all prepared for this eclipse and retrograde season, and coming into the fullness of understanding what we mean by the divine feminine rising, how no matter what gender orientation you subscribe to, you also have that divine feminine presence within you, and that there are different aspects of the divine feminine, and that each of those aspects even have aspects within themselves. So we're going to really be creating this spiral effect today with our teaching part, and then at the end we're going to do a beautiful invocation in the dragon tongue, the light language that I do for my clients and that I channel. So we're going to really come and be able to integrate what we learn today with that gorgeous activation. So I'm just going to fix this for a second. It's so hard because I've got Instagram one place and Facebook somewhere else, and you guys can see different links of me. I am clothed. Okay. So say hi when you're here. Tell me where you're from. Yeah, magical number 11. Magical number. I love the number 11. So, I could have waited until 13, but with the eclipse that's happening this month, Wednesday, there's so much energy already being built up that when I was sitting there looking at all the topics that I've kind of written out, I realized that we needed to move this triple goddess activation up a couple of weeks so that we could really start to anchor in the understanding that the divine feminine isn't, she's not really rising anymore. She's already risen. We've talked about this in previous weeks and how to really work with all of the aspects of it. Again, even if you are someone who, um, you did click. I knew you would. Uh, Even if you're someone who identifies as male or someone who identifies as non-binary, you still have these divine feminine aspects within you, and a lot of people just try to be like the divine feminine, the divine masculine. Now, the divine masculine also has different aspects to him, but he is actually usually very much shown in this like whole and complete, like, like penetrative sword sort of thing, versus the triple goddess. The goddess, the feminine, has all these different aspects of her. She's got the maiden, the mother, the crone, and she also has the shadow, the light, and the dark. The masculine has shadow, light, and dark as well, but you don't often see the masculine in other belief systems or spiritual aspects really separated, right? In Hinduism, you have Shiva, split into three as well. So you see that this number three is super, super important, and it shows up everywhere in sacred geometry. It shows up throughout the golden ratio, all of these things. But what does it mean when you have to balance all of the different aspects? How do you really come into dealing with the chaos of, you got three bitches with three different faces and you got three guys with three different, like, that's like you're dealing with so much chaos. How can you come into unity? How can you integrate this knowledge? How can you notice within your own body when you are in which space, right? Oh, I love you too. When you're in which space, which energy you're in. And does it even really matter, right? There's so much emphasis on this balancing act that we kind of forget how how much they're all intertwined, right? So let's go ahead and start by lighting our candle, setting an intention today. Let's go ahead and light our candle with the intention of pure love, pure light, open communication, calling in the divine triple goddess right now. Help to have her here to channel through any messages she has for the collective through my willing conduit and channel. Opening up to the sun and the solar codes on this beautiful Sunday. anything that needs to be spoken about with the eclipse season and the retrograde season, just really opening up for a beautiful, amazing Sunday conversation as we have every single week, and loving on ourselves, loving on our community, being so grateful that we have this space every week to come together in a beautiful, magical, blissful way. And we'll go ahead and grab our incense, lighting the incense from the same flame. So the incense is also infused with our intention. And using a figure 8 motion, bringing all polarities into the singularity, creating a vortex that is outside of time and space where immediate healing can occur and transformation is the norm. Perfect. We'll just set this guy in here. I really need to go get more incense. Good thing my new office is right next to an emporium, or maybe that's not a good thing for my pocketbook. Okay, so the triple goddess. The triple goddess is the goddess, the aspect of the divine feminine that I am the most familiar with. My family, I was raised as a Unitarian Universalist with pagan tendencies. Okay, so my mom identifies as pagan. My dad also, for the most part, identifies as pagan. So we did a lot of rituals, especially with the calendar, the pagan calendar, right? So we just had Beltane here on the 1st of May. That is a maiden to mother celebration. It's a very fertile celebration. We're going to have Midsummer here soon. That's a masculine celebration. We're going to have the Lammas comes up on August 1st. That's the first of the harvest festivals. Then you've got Maiden, and then you've got Samhain, which is Halloween. That's the third of the 3 harvest festivals. Going into Yule, which is midwinter. Then Bridget's Day, which is the beginning of spring, and then you have the Ostara, which is which is spring, right? Okay, so or mid spring. So there you go. I just walked you through the different holidays, but each holiday is in relation to either the divine masculine solid. Like I said, they usually have like a solid masculine, but in the pagan tradition, each one might be, this is more of a mother's holiday. This is more of a maiden holiday. This is more of a crone holiday, or this is a masculine holiday. So giving you a background for me, I would love, as always, if you have more insights, please open this up for communication. I know this tends to turn into a lecture style workshop, but I am live. You can comment. We can have a beautiful discussion if you guys have any other understandings. Like I said, as I've learned more about Hinduism and Buddhism, especially Hinduism, I'm seeing a lot more of the masculine also broken down. We will probably have another live stream on that another day. So we're focusing on the triple goddess. We're focusing on the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And of that as well, we're going to talk a little bit about how each aspect has its own shadow, its own light, and its own dark. So before we get into that, let me just clarify. For me and my teachings, when I teach my clients, we separate the word shadow from the word dark, because shadows are like this. If I put this in front of my face, I've now created a shadow on my face. Without it there, so with something blocking the light, creates a shadow. And then once the light is no longer blocked, the light's coming in. But if I were to turn the light completely off, then we would be in darkness, right? Darkness exists. The void exists already. Light is added to the void. So the dark is actually, I describe it as the lightest light, or the superconscious, or that which is so like deep in the depths of creation that you're able to pull it out, and you pull it out of the dark depths of the void, of the black womb of no thing, and you bring it into the light. And then once it's in the light, it can be distorted and messed with, and that's when you have the shadow, something that's blocking the light, the shadows, the global collective shadow, the subconscious. So just so you're aware, like as we're speaking, I'm going to say the word dark, and if you're someone who is usually associated dark and shadow as the same, for me they're not the same. So I wanted to get that sort of vernacular thing out of the way. And again, I'm having a massive allergy attack today, so please excuse me when I have to blow my nose. Oh, man, it's Cottonwood season here in Cottonwood Heights. Okay, so let's start with the black womb of no thing, because that's where everything starts. If you have ever read the Sophia Code, we talk a lot about the black womb of no thing in there. And we're actually going to start today. I'm really being called to do her prayer right now. So let's all just take a second, rub our hands together, reach up and clap, pull that energy down into your column. Deep breath. Divine Mother of all life, take me to that place deep within your womb where I can know nothing and be reborn anew. So that is a prayer from the Sophia Code, which I know that not everyone has read, but I highly suggest it. It's a really amazing book once you can get through the human. Like once you can understand that there was a human channeling that, and you can get to the chapters where she's actually in communication with the goddesses that she was channeling, it's really, really powerful and potent. There are some pieces where Kaya Ra herself are speaking. This is from it's like a 15-year-old book where you can feel the hurt and the shadow and all this stuff in there. And if you can just get past it, right? If you can get past the fact that a human wrote the book, it's an amazingly channeled text. So that is like the first section in it. And we talk about Sophia as in the divine feminine Christ, okay? The divine feminine Christ consciousness. So we're speaking very much on the feminine aspects of the womb, right? So another way that I like to describe the difference between light, shadow, and dark is an egg, right? My egg is now at my office, so I can't show it to you, but it's like an egg, right? So inside of an egg, you've got the light shining on the egg. If the egg gets in front of the light, a shadow is cast. But actually, inside of the egg is darkness, right? There's actual darkness in there. So that's the creation energy, the womb energy. Your baby doesn't understand that there's light until really the final trimester. And you have to be like putting a flashlight on your belly, like shining it around. And even then, it's not that the face really leans into it, it's that there'll be a reaction, like a kick or something. So, but that's at the very end of the last trimester when the eyes are really fully developed and can understand the light coming through. And you also have to hold a flashlight like on your belly all the way, like a bright one. So it's dark in there. When we can allow the darkness, the creation energy to really build up, then we're able to birth into the light. And if it's solid, then it's really hard to get the shadow to distort it. Now, with each of the aspects of the divine feminine, she is going to have a shadow and light aspect, and the dark is kind of the pure aspect of it, the pureness of the childlike wonder of the maiden, right? And the pureness of these different pieces. So, yes, Mary Magdalene. Oh, allergies, lemon, lavender, peppermint. Yeah, I have them. I do. I have triple E's. I need to take it. Um, and yes, when Colin was going through the Sophia Code, I was getting a lot of messages. Oh, excuse me. Allergy season is here. Although I'm grateful that I get to have allergies this year. Last year sucked. I was like, excuse me, does anyone realize that Mother Nature did not get the memo that we are in the middle of a pandemic and that we can still have allergies? Anyway, so let's talk about each of the aspects. Okay, so what's the maiden? The maiden is right, okay, the maiden. Makes sense, right? All the way up the virgin energy. So Virgo, that's going to be maiden energy. Your inner child work is going to be maiden energy. The courting of young love is going to be maiden energy. The innocence of playing. So a lot of the times the maiden is often shown as either a young girl or a girl in her teenage years, not even all the way up to essentially the mother energy will even start coming in around the age that a woman becomes old enough to become a mother, which, even though it grosses us out to think about, is actually technically as soon as she starts her period, right? As soon as she starts getting a moon cycle, she is biologically old enough to become a mother. Now, psychologically, not so much, which is why you might see the divine, the maiden shown all the way up into like a teenager, right? Maybe like a young 20s sort of vibe. Then you really start getting into the mother energy, and you're really going to start seeing the aspects, an older woman like in her 30s, that's going to be the more of the mother. And then the crone is after menopause. So the maiden mother crone energy was originally based on the moon cycle, right? So until a girl was old enough to become a mother, because you have to remember back in the 1500s, you were a mom when you were 13, right? You were a mom when you were 14, but that's because the life expectancy, a lot of women weren't even getting to menopause, right? If you made it all the way to menopause, all the way into your 50s, you were like a really old witch, right? And they had so much reverence for you, and you were the wisest woman in the village. So the crone aspect is that really wise witch energy. And then the mother is that whole area in between, right? You're raising babies, you're running the household, you're doing your thing. So let's remember the origin of this, right? When we only had a life cycle that was, you know, average life expectancy was 36, most of the women were having babies. And like, if they were lucky enough to meet their grandchildren, they were like, it was a huge deal, right? So we can now kind of expand that because we now are advanced enough that here, at least in the West, your average life expectancy is closer to 70. And you are going through menopause, and you have like 20 years without your period for women. And there's a whole place where we get to really play in that wise woman energy as well. So coming back, the maiden energy is the innocence energy, the wonders of spring, the ability to create from nothing, right? So because average life cycle is way longer, like 900 years. I'm talking about in your current scientific, like, I get what you're saying, Chandra, but like, if you were to look at the current people on this planet, like all of my grandparents, everyone, they lived about their 90s, right? So if you look at the data that is available in the scientific community. And I know this pisses off a lot of people in the magic community. I am science based first and foremost. Honestly, I'm really, really, really science based. So I'm talking about like logistically, a human being, the average life expectancy is about 80 years max. I think the men is like 74 and women are 80, I think, or something like that. It's not 900, not at least in this physical corporeal form, unless you've mastered that, and then in that case you should be a multi-billionaire by now. um, so the point is that when we first created this idea of the triple goddess, the average life expectancy was closer to like 40 years old. Okay, so the maiden energy is very much the young child energy. So then let's move into sorry. Now, the aspects of that are the shadow is the aspect that already is like the temper tantrum aspect, the aspect that gets quieted, the aspect that has to be silenced, right? So when you go back and you're doing your inner child healing later on in life, where you want to look at where the problems occurred is any times you were silenced, right? The maiden is loud, she is boisterous, she is flirtatious, she has the very creative, like pulling, like I said, pulling crowns together out of flowers in the middle of the field and running them back to mommy and daddy, having the trust in the universe, trusting in the plants and the animals, and having that creative flow and being very connected to nature because she's so close to having just been birthed out of nature herself. This is that Persephone energy, like I said, the Virgo energy. So when we're looking at the shadow aspects of it, so parts that have been silenced, right? The creativity that's been blocked, the loss of innocence from being taken via trauma, right? Sexual abuse, uh, physical violence, those sorts of things that pretty much made a girl grow up, right? The things that make you grow up too fast. Experiencing atrocities like that, where you all of a sudden have to come into this mother responsibility. The maiden is not responsible, right? She's the, like, this is why I say even all the way up to teenager, right? The rebellious teenager is still maiden energy. That aspect of you that's like, I want to go out and party all night long with my friends. I want to just go experience life, right? The maiden, as she moves from like really young maiden into going towards the mother energy, starts to have that joie de vivre, right? Starts to have that taste and that lust for life because her hormones are actually shifting to a place where she's going to be in that mothering energy. So we ourselves, when we're looking at our own blossoming cycles, we might have an idea and we're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then we start flirting with it more. And then we get to a point where we're in the mother energy and we have to actually start doing work around it. It's no longer in the mental space. It's much more coming into the heart. It's coming in and like figuring out the logistics of it, right? So for the mother energy, like it's pretty self-explanatory, but let's just go over it. The mother energy is the actual logistical creation energy. So while the maiden is like the whimsical idea of it, even a little girl in there um playing the or putting together the crown, when she's actually weaving together the crown of flowers, she's actually kind of going into her mother energy. It's the actual work, right? The actual action. And that's something that I know many people would be like, no, that's the masculine, right? The masculine is the acting. Mothers work. We fucking work really hard. And it's usually doing things that are completely looked over, that are not appreciated. This is the reason why you've got so many moms out there comparing each other, comparing to each other, why the divorce rate is ridiculously through the roof, because there are a lot of women out there that are like, fuck you, dude. I can do this better without you, and you can just fuck off because I don't actually need your help. This is the women who came together and raised villages, right? The women, the mother energy, as my husband is literally out there doing dishes. I'm not talking about my husband. He is the best. He's out cleaning my house because my dad's coming over for dinner. Um, the mother is very much this energy of, you can do this. Like, you can do the solid work and you can raise your children. Now, here's also, again, the mother is going to have those three aspects: the shadow, the light, the dark. When we talk about someone like Kalima, I just got to get this out of the way because I can see the comments going on over here. When we're talking about Kalima, we're talking about Mary Magdalene, and we talk about the dark feminine, that is that's that raw energy, right? The raw creation energy, the raw destruction energy, the bite your head off energy. That's not shadow, right? It's when you go into victimization as a mother, that's the shadow. So that's how you know that really the difference between the shadow and the dark in the in the feminine, at least. If you feel victimized, if you're using like, I'm being used, I'm being abused, I'm being like gaslighted, those things where you become victimized, or you're going into that childish, like someone should do this for me energy, then you're in the shadow aspect of the mother energy. When you're in the dark feminine, you're in that like, let's go get them, let's go be really strong women, do the work, do what needs to be done, right? Lilith, she just wanted to experience what duality was like. Everyone freaking, well, that was Eve, right? But like everyone, Eve was talking to Lilith. Lilith was the snake, if we haven't figured this out yet. But Lilith was the equal of Adam. She wasn't made from his rib. Lilith was his equal, was created also in the image of God. But because she wanted to experience all these things, she was cast out of heaven, and The rib was removed from Adam so that Eve could be Adam's submissive. And then even she was so curious, because women are curious creatures. We want to experience life. We're not made. We grow. Women grow a whole lot more than men do in our life cycles in many ways. And she wanted to experience duality also, ate from the fruit of the from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and here we are. So the shadow of the feminine, of the mother feminine, is the victimized mother. Okay, the one that is just like, well, my ex-husband, the one that just bitches and moans all the time, that hates that she has kids, even though she was the one who chose to have them. Like, honestly, I'm sorry, in the 21st century in America and other parts around the world, if you have a kid, you chose it. Okay, period. I don't care if you're saying, oh no, it was an unplanned pregnancy. You chose it, because you could have gotten an abortion. You could have put the baby up for adoption. So if you're a mom and all you do is get together with your other mom friends and the entire time is bitch and moan about what little Johnny did, oh, you think this is bad, you think that is the shadow mother. The shadow mother is the one who is not loving being a mom, is not the one who's loving her creation. So let's pull this away for you men out there. This could be in your business, right? Where you're just like, oh, my job, right? Oh, I've got I've got to go to work and I've got to do this, and my house is never clean, and you're just like, that bitching moaning energy when you're an adult, that is also shadow mother energy. You have shit to do. You have a life to live. You have work to do. And instead of maintaining the joie de vivre, you're just like, ugh, fuck the system. I hate all men. And this can be guys too, because I listen to my male clients all the time. I hate the system. The corporations are all fucked up. I'm always going to work in the same desk job for forever because it's all set up to fail against me, blah, 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 blah. When you are a grown ass adult and you're bitching about the life that you have, you are in shadow mother energy. Okay? Light mother energy would be the version that's just very like, this is my life, this is how it is. And then the dark feminine, the dark mother energy is the one that's like, my life is actually pretty good, but what could I do more of? What needs to be destroyed? My life is so solid that I can go pull a Kalima on the patriarchy and go burn down some things, like take over the birthing industry or go run to be president or whatever, right? You're solid in who you are already, and you have the extra fire to go do something in the service of others. The dark feminine energy, though, is very interesting how quickly the dark can shift into shadow, right? Which kind of makes sense when you realize shadow and dark are very similar. But the Kalima story is the one that I like to use the most for this example. So if you're not aware, Kalima is goddess in Hinduism, and she is badass warrior. She's often depicted with multiple arms and multiple weapons, and her tongue's like, okay. And her story is that there were all these demons taking over Earth, and the other gods just weren't able to hold them back. And Kali Ma was called to the field, and she starts destroying the demons. And she's a badass warrior, like Xena, warrior princess on steroids. And she's going and she's killing fools. She's getting the demons out. She's kicking them out. She's cutting their heads off to the point where she's got a necklace of skulls around her often. But at one point during the battle, Kali Ma shifts from dark feminine to shadow feminine, in the fact that she shifts from taking down the demons for the purpose of liberation and instead just starts killing everyone, starts murdering everything, right? Like, kills the farmers, kills the children, kills the women, kills the demons, and she's just in full on bloodlust mode, right? That's the women that are sitting there yelling and screaming, and take down the patriarchy and fuck all men, and this isn't worth it, and I'm never going to be a mom, and I'm going to burn my bras, and I'm going to do all this stuff. Like, the really angry version And we're allowed to get angry. I hold ceremonies for my clients all the time to help deal with the sacred rage. But as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, sacred rage isn't actually sustainable energy, so it needs to be moved through. So Kalima is trying to sustain her sacred rage, and she goes berserk and starts murdering everyone. And Shiva, the Lord of Destruction, one of the aspects of the three, Shiva's like, okay, I got her. She's my bitch. Go do it. I'll help you out. He goes to the battlefield, and Kali's still just killing everything that she sees. And he's like, hey, Kali, babe, chill out. And she strikes him dead right there because she's not thinking. So, again, women, especially, or guys, if you've had female partners, when your girl is on the full on destruction path and she's not thinking clearly, and it's obvious that there is so much going on, this is why you need a healthy way to process the rage. This is why I have clients who come to me and they're like, please, will you help me deal with how freaking angry I am? Because there isn't a lot of women aren't told that it's okay to be angry or that there's a healthy way to process the anger. Kickboxing is a great one. Running is a great one. Swamping, screaming into pillows, great ones. Again, call me. Let's do a dragon invocation for you. Great one. Um, so Kali kills Shiva. And she still doesn't even realize it. She still just keeps on killing fools. And then she goes to step on Shiva's body in like a conquering, like, I have destroyed everything. And again, you'll often see her with her foot on Shiva. When she puts her foot on Shiva, her love, the energy of her foot chakra touches where his heart would be. And she doesn't feel anything. And it's in realizing that she's killed the love of her life that she softens and transforms into Ma Durga, which is also often depicted with multiple arms and sometimes with, a sword and a cliff. But she also has like a seashell, and she has a light, and she has like a bowl of food. Because Ma Durga is the mother, like the light mother, the nurturing mother aspect. And Ma Durga brings Shiva back to life through her kiss, right? I wanted to know where the true love's kiss came from. There you go. It's Hinduism. But the reason why I tell you the Kali Ma story is because there are so many women out there, especially in the spiritual community, that are like, Kalima energy, Mary Magdalene energy, Lilith energy, and they are doing nothing to actually help build. They're great at destroying. They're great at it. They're great at calling out the problems. They're able at seeing the issues that are going on. They're really great at, building a community in rage and anger and hatred towards whatever it is that they are trying to justify is worth destroying. They are shit creators. They are shit nurturers. And honestly, they're not very nice people because they're so angry that there isn't a healthy way for them to just like deal with it. And they're stuck in this dark, no, this shadowy mother anger energy, right? The mom that's in the middle of the crazy divorce. The woman whose business partner just left and she's figuring out the way to ruin his life or whatever, her life, right? So that anger level, ladies, especially, and gentlemen as well, if you realize that you're just like every time you meditate, Mary Magdalene or Kali or Sekhmet or any of those beings are the ones coming to you, and you're not hanging out with Kuan Yin or White Buffalo Woman or Mother Mary very often, please reach out. This is where I love to work with people because there is a way to balance that holy rage, that anger, the sacred rage, and also still nurture your life. Because there's so many of us that get stuck in the destruction cycle that we don't ever move into that light, right? The Mother Mary. And I did that. I did a live stream like 2 weeks ago where we talked about the Divine Mother, so you can really, I think it was on Mother's Day. So we've already dove into the Divine Mother really deeply on this channel, on this show before. So you can go back. It's like, I think it's 2 or 3 episodes ago that we talked about the Divine Mother. So Let's now move into the crone. The crone energy is actually the energy of your when you're actually bleeding on your moon cycle. So if you're ever, as a woman, if you're ever really like wanting to work with your moon cycle, the new moon, the new moon in the darkness, the actual act of bleeding, all of that is the crone energy, the letting go energy. What can you let go of? And yes, when you're coming out of that anger, shadowy, feminine, burn down the world, you're actually going to start coming into this crone, this wise woman energy, where you are really truly connecting to the wisdom of how much you've lived. So the crone is like, I always see Grandmother Willow from Pocahontas. That's just always the mental image in my mind when I start talking about the crone is, or the good witch, right? The bad witch, the angry witches, they are again usually, that's the shadowy side of the crone. The crone is the old wise woman of the village. The crone is the, what do I know that I can let go of? What is no longer serving me, right? So the crone energy would be what comes in and actually makes you realize that the anger inside of you is no longer serving you and will help you let it go so that you can come back into balance and alignment and actually be the nurturing soul that you're meant to be. And again, men, this applies to you. If you are an angry business partner, if you are pissed off at the system in any way, you want to take down criminal justice, you want to take down the healthcare system, you want to take, if you hear yourself say, I want to take down, you're living in shadow and you're not actually living in the light or the darkness, because the light and the darkness don't care about taking things down. They want to build something instead. The crone is the one who's wise enough to realize that old earth is already burning to death and that there are ways to start pulling in the innocent nature of the maiden again to start to create and build new earth. And there's nothing that you have to do to old earth, right? There's no payback. There is no take it down energy with the crone. The crone's like, you know what? When the old field dies and we go and we pick all the fruit off of the field and we clean up the field, like that's just over. And then next year we get to sow a new seed. She knows that there's nothing you have to go and like do really. She sees the cycles of nature. She sees the cycles of life and is able to understand that you don't actually need to go do anything to go kill those plants. They're going to turn into fertilizer. They're going to do these things that allow you to then go turn the soil, to then go work it later and build something new, right? When you can focus on your creation, that's when you've actually come into full balance of your feminine side. When your whole focus is no longer on how to get what you want, so that would be the childish, like the shadowy maiden, like I want it now, right? I always think of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and that girl that's like standing with the eggs. I want it now. That chick, that's the childish maiden. That's the shadowy maiden. I want it now. So the impatience and the frustration, that's the shadow maiden energy. The light maiden energy would be that little kid that's sitting there coloring for like 4 hours and it's just scribbles. And it's just like, I'm just creating and it doesn't need to look like anything. I'm not exactly sure what I'm building. The shadow mother is going to be the one who is pissed off all the time, that is always looking to be victimized, that is always looking for a reason why her life is unfair, and how yeah, how she's being used, how she's being abused, how she needs to find her worth in other people. Like she only finds her worthiness in being a mother, who doesn't really create anything. She's just following, like she's the one that's like filling in the paint by number, right? She's following the rules and doing the things that she's supposed to do. Then also the one that's like just ripping the piece of paper to shreds and just doesn't care and doesn't want to fucking make a painting at all and is just like fuck everybody. The light mother, the one that's really in solid like alignment, is the one who's just creating and nurturing and helping her little painting turn into something that makes more sense to the world, that maybe can be go to sold at auction and things like that, where she's really, she goes and she makes the cookies, she deals with the mess when her kids get into a fight. There's not, she doesn't blow up if they throw flour all over the house. She's not sitting there screaming at them. She's just kind of laughing and cleaning up the flour, and then maybe goes and makes cookies, right? That, and I know that that might sound crazy to some women, it's because most women, honestly, most mothers are in their shadow, and that's why I work a lot with mothers. Anyway, sensual motherhood. I digress. The shadow crone is the evil witch, right? She's the one that's just fucking with things just for the sake of it. She knows so much and is so aware that she's all like, I wonder what will happen if I, right? Or I know that if I say this thing to this person, then it's going to cause a total melodrama. And she gets off on other people's pain. Okay, so just think about the old witch in any of the old fairy tales, right? The shadow crone is the crone who's fucking with the village. She's the crone that's really messing with every other person because she never healed her shadow mother. She then developed into this shadow crone who is just hard. She's cold-hearted, she's manipulative, she really doesn't care whether or not she helps or hurts anyone. It's all for her own entertainment. Her own knowledge is a way for her to hurt other people because they all told her to fuck off, and she's living in a hut in the woods by herself and nobody loves and appreciates her. So why should she love and appreciate other people, right? The ones who doesn't want to impart her wisdom, but it's like, here, I'll give you this potion, but isn't willing to teach you how to make the potion yourself, right? So if you ever have a healer who wants to work with you and is like, okay, this is what we got to do, but she just like is just, this happens a lot with the men. They're just telling you like, here, this is what we do. Here, come get your Reiki session. Here, let's do your clearing here. And they're not actually giving you any tools for yourself. They're just giving you all the like, they're fixing you for you and not helping you learn how to fix yourself. That would also be shadow crone energy. They're like, I have all this knowledge, but you have to come to me and you have to pay me, and I'm only going to give you little bits and bobs, and I'm only going to give you pieces of the puzzle, and I'm not going to actually give you the whole solution for you to go be a sovereign being yourself. You're going to become reliable on me. Like, you're going to rely on me. You need me, right? Because the crone, the shadow crone, needs to be needed. So it's the same way with healers that need to be the healer instead of being willing to share their entire inventory of metaphysical tools to help you learn how to heal yourself. Okay. Okay. Now the light crone again. Let's just make sure we understand. The light crone would be the one who wants to be the teacher, right? The light crone's like grandmother Willow. The crone is still gonna mess with you a little bit, okay? Yeah, right. We all have someone, naturopathic doctor, who does that. That's like, here, come get my tincture, and doesn't tell you what the fuck's in it or in what purport. Oh, it's a mix of dandelion and valerian and St. John's and this, that, but doesn't give you the proportions. So you always have to come back to him to buy the tincture. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. That doctor would be a shadow crone versus the light crone would be like, hey, come over and I'm going to be making tinctures this weekend and I'm going to teach you how to do it. Now, Crohn's still, they still have a little bit of that funny side, right? Like again, grandmother Willow. She's a little snappy. She's been around the world a few times. She might be a little cryptic here and there, but that's because she knows that just giving you the recipe is also not going to fully benefit you, right? It's like the coach that you have that asks the questions that she might already know the answers to, but keeps asking in different ways until you come to your own solution and then is like, yeah, that's fucking it. And she knew 45 minutes ago what the answer was, but she just didn't hand it to you. That's again the crone energy of really wanting to be the teacher. Doesn't just want to be like, here's the recipe, but will, hey, come and learn. Like, come with me that makes sense? Like, there would be the person that's just like, here's the recipe, go figure it out on yourself. Even though she knows that there's like certain things that need to be done. There's the woman, the energy of the crone that is here, come into my kitchen, let's make the tincture together, right? And she can show you the nuances. But then when you're like, is this right? She'll wait and pause and let you come into that self-validation, because the older crone, the light crone doesn't need to be validated. The light crone doesn't need someone else to tell her that she knows what the fuck she's doing, because she already knows it. So light crone energy, like solid in alignment crone energy, or even dark crone energy, the one that can go into the back room and just like mix and mash and turns all this stuff together out of pure creation, she's doing it from self trust and self validation, right? She is so solid in her own knowledge that she's not even looking in the recipe book anymore, right? You know, those grandmas that just can make oatmeal raisin cookies and it's been the same recipe that's been used forever. So by the time you go to learn, she's like, you know, it's a pinch of sugar and a this and that and 2 eggs. She's not even looking at the cookbook. That's because she's fucking solid in who she is. And you can be in the crone energy and be in your 20s, right? You can be in the crone energy and be a guy in your 30s. It's the self trust and self validation. And then it goes back in again to the innocence, because once you're self validated and really solid in one area of your life, what's going to happen? Another area is going to show you how out of alignment it is. And you're going to have to go through the whole thing again, starting with the innocent child into the maiden, kind of figuring it out, this, that, and the other, throwing flour all over the house, putting the raisins in totally wrong proportions, right? The mother is the one who said, like, oh, I really like this cooking analogy, right? So the maiden is like innocently just trying to make cookies, right? But you walk in there and she's got like mud and flour and like a giant bowl of raisins and there's like 2 drops of oatmeal, right? That's that innocent maiden, like just trying it out. Like, here, we're just gonna see what the fuck happens. I'm not doing it out of malice. There's nothing going on in here thinking about other people, really. Not in a narcissistic way, but in a just kind of, you know what, I'm just fucking around. I'm just making something. I'm just trying to figure out how to make this cookie. The mother is going to be the one who's like following the directions and is like, okay, 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 3 cups of oatmeal. Here's the egg. Here's the right. And here's the order that we do it in, right? So you put the butter and the egg and the vanilla and the sugar in the blender and you cream it all together. And then you slowly add this. And then you have to hand mix the oats, right? And she might be reading a recipe, or she's like kind of, she has to go check it at least. She might not have to do it the whole time, but she's still gonna go double check it. She's gonna be like, okay, yeah. Oh, I forgot the vanilla. Let me get that, right? That's that mother energy where she knows what she's got a little bit of here and there, but she's in charge of all these little people. And she does want the cookies to taste good. And she does want to make sure that everything is beautiful and presentable, because that's what makes her feel good. Not because she needs the external validation, but because she just feels good when she's creating and when she's playing with her children in that way. The crone is going to be the one that doesn't even have to look at the damn recipe and makes the best oatmeal raisin cookies you ever ate in your life. And every time they taste exactly the same. And every time you're like, Grandma, you don't need to use the recipe. How come this tastes so good? And it's because she's actually taken the recipe that she used to follow perfectly, and maybe she adds in a touch of cinnamon, but she never rewrote that in, and her daughter doesn't see that, right? That's her own knowledge. She knows that the ones that taste the best are the ones with a dash of cinnamon, but that's not actually in the original recipe, right? Thank you. Thank you for that amazing analogy, because I was trying to wrap this around and was having a hell of a time doing it. Okay. So, now that we've done that, we've gone through it all, have a good idea of it all. Yes, please. Let it go. Thank you, husband. Just topping off my coffee for me. And then we're going to get into our dragon invocation. So if you guys want to go ahead and get comfortable, prop your phone or whatever device you're watching this on up to the side. You're not. Hello from Transylvania, from Romania. Oh, hello. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Julia. Thank you. Oh my gosh, right? That one's going in a post. I can already feel it. We're gonna write that one out for y'all. Because that's it. That's really it. That's it. It's so good. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna actually do our invocation activation. So you can just put your phone up to the side. You're not gonna need to see anything. I always suggest that you want to do these sitting nice and straight and tall, just so that you can really feel the energy going in both directions, up through your crown and down through your root. Although you are also welcome to sit with your feet flat on the floor or also laying down. That's when you don't want to read the books. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so we'll go ahead and do our invocation. I find myself in your posts and am often judged as a sacred sensual healer. Even if I. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, before we do this, thank you so much, Romeo. Let's talk about this for 1 second. Where does sexual shame fit into all of this? Oh my God, I cannot believe I almost went this whole thing without talking about sexual shame. The sexual healing that needs to occur is actually, again, based on creation. Okay? Kalima and Sekhmet are often called into rituals where we are helping deal with the collective abuse of women, especially in the sex trafficking or rape or anything like that, incest. Because usually men do get raped. I'm not saying that this does not happen, it's just not as common. So the Sekhmet Kalima energy, Mary Magdalene energy will be called in a lot to go and like destroy the evils of the men, not recognizing that the only reason why the men have evil is because we women have evil too. But that's another day. So, how to heal the sexual shame and the sexual traumas and all of these things that can happen at different levels is actually by reminding ourselves of the creation point, right? The divine feminine nurturer, the one that can hold someone close to their bosom and doesn't need to fix them, that it's okay to be broken right now, and it's okay to have a process, and it's okay to be pissed the fuck off, and that there is a way to move that anger through your body, and it's a way okay to be so sad you can't breathe and to cry so that you move it through your body. So when we're actually talking about being like a sacred sensual or sacred sexual healer, what you're healing is that beautiful marriage of the masculine and feminine. What you're doing is you're coming into that divine marriage within yourself where you can have the light and the shadow and the dark all playing with each other. And that's how you turn into this very sensual being, right? You're using all five senses and your intuition to have a life of bliss and to have a life of love and pure creation fun, so that at the end of your 900 years, as Shanda said, you you know that there's no regrets, right? You have experienced the entire repertoire that there is to experience on this planet, and you're still very much, that was my life. And it was a good fucking story. It was a great story. There were some ups, there were some downs, there were some villains, there were some heroes, and it was amazing, right? That's what we want with anyone who's dealing with helping those who are healing from sexual trauma or who are just not really turned on in their own body. This is what we're going to be doing today, actually, in just a minute. But we're going to tune in, tap in, and turn on to the truth of our divinity that has all of these different aspects: the light, the dark, the shadow, the maiden, the mother, the crone, the masculine, and come into the knowing that it's all for the benefit of humanity, that we are experiencing this life. We are the universe experiencing itself through individual human form. And that what we need to do more than anything is focus on the nurturing of our story, to take authority, 100% authority, and become the author, owning that we're the author and the actor at the same time. Our highest self wrote this crazy life for us, and we forgot it, and now we're remembering it, right? See if there's anything else. I'm starting to become Rome. Yes, perfect. I feel the strength. Yeah, yeah, totally. So Mary Magdalene and like just to reiterate this before we get anywhere, Mary Magdalene and Kalima Energy are not bad. I'm not knocking them. I hung out with them for about 2 years straight. There is a healthy way to move their energy through you. And what is often seen, at least from my perspective, and a lot of the clients that come to me who have been channeling and working with Mary Magdalene and Kali Ma, is that they get to the and they're destroying everything phase. They are killing the things that they love and they are really regretting it. They're really they're having beautiful ideas and then letting the swing of the pendulum force them too far back and they're not able to actually nurture anything. So again, go back and watch. I think it's episode 8 where we talked about the Divine Mother, and I really kind of pull this through a lot more with that. So let's go ahead. Oh my gosh, allergies. Put your phone up and get comfortable. Sit with a nice straight spine. Close your eyes. If you haven't experienced one of these dragon invocations before, what we're going to do is we're going to tune in and make sure that our energy field is open. And then I'm going to start speaking in what I call dragon tongue. Others might call light language. So it's not very, there might be some languages from across the world that all blend together. So if you are from somewhere that's not America, you might notice some of phrases. This is not intentional. It's purely just the sound of I'm going to be calling in the divine feminine fully, and she's just going to be speaking through me. I work a lot with the Pleiadians, and we're in the Pleiadian portal right now. Holy shit, I didn't even talk about eclipse season. That's fine. I'll do a live tomorrow, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. I just realized. But the eclipse season and the retrograde season's coming out, and that's why I wanted to really give you guys this solid invocation first, so that you can allow what needs to go and to start noticing where you are in your own cycle. Do you need to bring more of that innocent maiden energy? Do you need to come back into more self-validation as the crone? Do you need to be more solid in the fact that you're allowed to nurture your creations and you don't just need to go send them off immediately, right? You might have a beautiful program idea and your little maiden is like, let's go talk about this right now to everyone and we're going to do it, when you really needed more time to nurture. Woohoo, Susan. Oh, you didn't bother me. Send me a DM. If you guys ever have like questions after these live streams, honey, my DM's always open. Okay, so let's go ahead. Nice straight back. Deep breath in. And exhale. Deep breath in again. And exhale. One more time in through the nose. And exhale, this time really making sure that you make a sound. Whatever comes out. Oh, moving your body if you need to. Whatever feels good for you. If you need to roll your neck around, move your wrists, and then just settling into a nice straight spine. Go ahead and rub your hands together. Reach up and clap. And pulling that energy down your sacral chakra column, leaving your hands in prayer pose, putting them on your heart, left on your heart, right over your hand, or you can just rest your hands comfortably in your lap. If you're choosing any mudras today, feel free to do that, or you can just do open palm, whatever feels good. And then right now, just kind of breathe with your eyes closed. And we're going to start again with that prayer. Divine Mother of all life, take me to that place deep within your womb where I can know nothing and be reborn anew. calling in the energy of the maiden, the innocent children, the childlike wonder and curiosity, the play, the unabashed adventurer, the one who can climb the trees with no fear, who spends hours staring at the tadpoles in the river, the one who makes a mess making oatmeal cookies. No judgment, no fear, no shame. Allows her emotions to run through her and then is able to come back to a place of bliss. Who throws her tantrums and 2 minutes later is back playing with her dolls. The aspect of the maiden, the one that has this beautiful lust for life. We welcome you to our circle, calling in the aspect of the mother, the nurturer, the one who is helping create the divine order, who holds what she cares about close and makes sure that it's fully ready before birthing it into the world, the one who follows a little bit more of the instructions when making cookies, the aspect that knows when the rage is necessary, knows when to lay down the law, but does so in a very compassionate and nurturing way, who's the protector, who is able to do it all on her own and yet chooses to be in community because she knows it's easier to raise children in a village than on an island all alone. We welcome the aspect of the mother here now. And we welcome the crone, the wise woman, the one who can make oatmeal cookies without even looking at a recipe. The wise self-validation, who trusts herself above all else, who is in communion with the birds and the trees, but can actually hear what they're saying, while the mother might notice the beauty and the children can hear it, the maiden can hear it, but doesn't understand what they're saying. The crone knows the words that the nature's beings are speaking to her, is able to create the medicine and the salves for the village, who knows that she is appreciated and doesn't need the validation from anything else outside of her. We welcome the crone into our circle. And allowing these three aspects to just tingle inside of you. See, hear, sense, or recognize in whatever way each aspect of the divine feminine, the maiden, the mother, the crone. Which energy is easiest for you to access? Which one feels the most distant? And just start bringing them into equal balance within your body. Recognizing also the shadow, the light, and the dark of each of these aspects. And letting those balance out as well. Allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions are coming up. If you're angry, if you're sad, if you're laughing. If you just feel at peace, allow all of it to work through your system. Opening up now a beautiful conduit between your heart and the earth, your heart and source, opening your chakra pillar all the way, creating a beautiful channel in which these energies can move, giving back to Gaia anything that needs to be transmuted, pulling in information from source that needs to be integrated, allowing for that exchange of energy to occur so that you can come into full homeostasis. And so that you can allow every cell of your body to be integrated into the triple goddess. To know that at any moment and throughout any day, you might experience all three of these energies or just one. And that you have the power to shift from shadow to light. And that the dark is just always there. Those hits of inspiration, the beautiful moments of pure joy and bliss. Taking another deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling. And receiving now the dragons of these aspects. The ferocious, the beautiful, the magical, the large, clear light of each one of these aspects. Ondiam bodega mondialo dovo se alea. Hom diango vere oea. Handiano eno vosoro apatino. He tovo diano maticana. He ontongiano vi. He no vasino pote. Ono vate casa e o valiono ameno pachamama e no gaia. Omole tiga manave tovo enangia dongo elosi patana he olopeta anino voto he o ave. We do vutigaya. Udiveriunaba, edu vasitayanubu, eu, orire você, onubo dimane, e bochamama, iruvai ariuto. Itiano veio a madrugada vadeu. Andonna vetio nono Kalima no vete ambrongo vede ane nomini ongo ano vete kaleo potengaio ano vasitai aio vasuto eni ango bati ano variando veia Handi angro bote omo heini ambrio govea. Handi rio tokoro bade de kaya. Ka mondo ko e ka neva te kaya po te kanasara he no vale kaya hambari ango e dea hambari ango e nia hambari ango e ni voti anasata veo homburu angale ni o mi ani o so ini andi ande o no isis oro hato rampaka ano Mary Magdalene o mi ana Lilith and Eve o manana potere Demetera e no Persephone ene rishke kella inana e one estara Ambo eleova io no vedo ne oh ea oh, 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 say, oh, thanking the triple goddess in all their forms for coming, surrounded by so many deities, so many aspects of the divine feminine who have joined us. I'm so overwhelmed with emotion right now. We have goddesses from all over the world, all over the universe who have joined us here today. So taking a moment of gratitude, placing your left hand on your heart with your right hand over it, and just taking a moment to bow your head to your heart, knowing that you are an aspect of the divine here manifested in physical form, and that all of these beautiful gods and goddesses, angels, interstellar beings, inner earth beings, fairies, devas, dragons, all of them are here to remind you of the truth of who you are, of the truth of what you are, and the truth of how you serve, and the way that you can serve the planet, and the way that you serve for the betterment of all beings throughout all space and time, is to become and know yourself as the author of your life, to no longer be weighed down by your past, to know that every single occurrence in your life was a choice that you needed to become the person that you are, and that every trial and every tribulation is really a blessing and drag, and that those lessons are what make you stronger, and that you wouldn't be who you are today without every tear, and without every scream, and without every laugh, and without every cuddle, and without every moment in the sun. You are divinity incarnate, shining your own frequency. And no matter how that shows up, you are loved, you are brave, you are wise, you are safe. Taking a moment to receive any messages. Thanking our ancestors, thanking the archangels, and the dragons, and the elementals, the gods and goddesses, releasing them, knowing that they are always near. Coming back into your body now, moving your hands, wiggling your wrists, Shaking out your feet, uncrossing your legs if they had been crossed. Blinking your eyes open. Oh, coming back into the room. Wonderful what you do. I started crying. It's so beautiful. You're welcome. So amazing. You're welcome. Hi, Megan. Sing it, sister. Yes. Hello, all my gorgeous friends who popped off. So, again, you can come back and listen, fast forward to whatever time it was. Come back and listen to it. You're so welcome. As we're entering into this eclipse, this was something that came through that I really need to say before we end the day. There is a really powerful eclipse going on Wednesday. It's at 5:11 a.m. is when the totality here in America, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's the time. It's 5:11 a.m. on Wednesday, and in the Vedic tradition, it's a Scorpio moon. And in the Western tradition, it's a Sagittarius moon. So you're moving again from the depths and the waters. Really, really deep things are going to be coming up, which is why I felt so called to do this triple goddess activation. I'm seriously so emotional right now. Um, because there's a lot of things that we push down and push down and push down. We turn the other cheek. We don't set the boundaries. The only way you're going to be able to use the Sag energy to really pull back and let go and shoot off into your dreams through this eclipse season is you got to pull back. You got to go into the depths. You got to go reevaluate, see what's lurking deep in those places that you maybe don't want to look at. You know, go back into the inner child, go back into the shadow parts of each aspect that we talked about today and see where you can let go. See how you can really allow yourselves to just be done. Just just know that you're healed already. Okay? You don't need to keep healing the same story over and over and over again. Time is a fucking illusion. And the second that you will know your worth, that you know your worth as an aspect of the divine in physical form, you can let it go. It doesn't mean that it never happened. It doesn't mean that that chapter in your book isn't there and that you ripped it out. It just means that you don't need to keep reading it. There's so many of us who suffered for so long that we got addicted to suffering. And then we find the healing community and we get addicted to healing. Know that you can be healed right here, right now. And as soon as you are healed, then you get to go play. You get to go create. Things like this start really landing in a different way because you're no longer trying to fix yourself. You're divinity incarnate, honey. You're fucking perfect already, just as you are. So, as we're going into, we got Mercury going retrograde, Pluto just went retrograde, Jupiter's going retrograde, and we have our eclipse season coming up. We are going into about a 90-day period of intense stuff right now. And if you can come back to this meditation and you can know that you are held and that you are safe and that you are wise and that you are brave and that you are loved and that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now, then it will make knowing yourself as healed, the healed version of you, how beautiful your life can be. What can you create from that healed space? What can you do now that you're no longer identifying as someone who is broken, but instead reclaiming your power? And just to close it off, go eat the damn cookie. There's no point in just making cookies if you're not going to go enjoy them. Doesn't matter how you make them. Enjoy them. Enjoy a cookie with your grandma. Call your mom. Write her a letter if you don't talk to her right now. Write a letter to your children or your future children. Come through this eclipse willing to go to those dark places, those shadow places, so that you can release them with grace. So you can let them go, and so that you can stand beautifully and boldly in the sun, shining as bright as possible. Because when we shine our own light, we give other people permission to shine their light too. When we go into a room and we just start bitching about our lives, we're giving them permission to bitch about their lives. But when we go in there and we start bragging, and we start owning, and we start holding space, we start just being quiet and we hold space. And if there's a room that we don't like the conversation, we have the strength to walk away, knowing we don't have to stay in that room. That's when we're going to truly start taking out pieces of our of of the way that we interact with other humans, and it's just not going to be normal anymore. And that's that crone energy of knowing that you don't need to go blow it up. You don't need to go tell your friends how all they do is play the whose life is worse game. You just stop being available for the whose life is worse game, and the people you're going to be surrounding yourself just don't play that game. And it's that easy. It's a lonely road, but you're the only one that you can who can walk it. Other people will walk with you for a while, but no one can walk it for you. So I love you. Thank you so much. You're so welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I love you from here in Cottonwood Heights, Utah, on this beautiful Sunday morning. Have a beautiful, gorgeous, blessed day, and we will talk soon.